Hey, morning, folks. We got to play RQG last night. Almost had a new player. Been working with him, well, doing stuff just a week. But I've got a piece in order to catch him up to 1631, which is where we are, from 1625, which is where the character creation stops. You got 28 end of season phases and 5 end of year phases. So we did the end of year? No, because there wasn't really much to do with that except for money. We did do that just to see if we could get enough money to try to do some training or something. But we did his High Holy Day and Sacred Time power gain rolls. I think he picked up 3 points total there. Doing research training on his statistics. He stuck with Constitution the whole time. He picked up 2 points of Constitution. It was like on the last roll where he rolled like a 5 or a 6 to get the D3 of a 3 minus 1 to get him the 2 points. Otherwise, there's maybe 3 other times where he rolled a 1 or a 2, so it was a 1 on the D3, minus 1 is 0, so he had a 0 gain a few times. But when it came down to the 28 end of season 4 skill check rolls, it kind of bogged him down. But I got to introduce him to all the players that are in the game. Everybody showed up. I don't remember what time, but it was a little later than normal. But it is what it is. So, skeletons. Now, skeletons in RQG are brittle, right? You hit them, they break. You hit them, they break. You hit them, they break. If they've got armor, you gotta get through the armor, but at one point, they break, right? And I don't want undead to be that easy, right? So I decided that each bone has, hit points, for lack of a better word, treating them as armor points. So if you've got, a 3 or a 4 point arm, you've got to do 3 or 4 points to break the arm. And some of the skeletons have armor. It's man, I do random armor association for each location because I got a spreadsheet to take care of all that stuff for me. And so, there is one skeleton had 2 locations, abdomen and the left leg, with no armor. There's a few places that had plate. Most of it was, 2, 3 point leather kind of stuff, right? Oh, and these skeletons are dragging along, prisoners, 9 of them. And so one thought was this new player would be one of those prisoners, right? And it's kind of funny when we were doing. He's a Yamalayo worshiper. This was initiate. He took a gift, which is he can speak with birds permanently, no cost. But that came with 3 geisha, right? And the 3 that he rolled were well, two of them were a 1% chance to get this thing, a 51 and I think a 57. So wear no armor and use no shields. That was horrendous. How's he gonna protect himself? Get that dodge up, baby. Get that dodge up. And the other one was celebrate during fire time. So that kind of changed his view. His view kind of was like a Roman, a Caesar, right? A leader of the armies who transitions to writing and being involved with politics, right? So he's a scribe. That's his occupation. Yeah, enough of that. Back to skeletons. Okay, so they're whacking away at the skeletons, and something that the GM that I play with discusses when you're dealing with skeletons is it takes crushing weapons to really break the bones. Maybe I'll change that then. Yeah, I'm still experimenting. But anyway, so crushing weapons do full damage. I should probably do double. Yeah, that would help things. Slashing weapons do half damage, and then piercing weapons do like nothing, right? Through the skeleton, through the skeleton. In fact, we watched that clip from Jason and the Argonauts. It's on YouTube. It's like 6 minutes long, where they're fighting the claymation skeletons, right? And they're fighting and fighting and fighting, and they didn't do anything. Oh, one guy chopped off a head towards the end. But, you know, they're whacking on them and whacking on them and whacking. I'm sure they got shields and swords. They're blocking everything all the time. But they get knocked down a lot. And that occurred to me afterwards for one of the attacks. Because I figured if you've got an impaling weapon, if you're doing a thrust, right, like with a spear, and you get a special, that means you nailed the bone, right? You actually hit it. And one of our guys, Juchi, using his lance as a spear, did that on one of the guys, and because the armor it had and the bone strength it had, even with the impale, it, you know, doing the 1/4 damage kind of thing, half, still didn't bust it. But that should have knocked him back. I didn't think about this afterwards. There's a lot of knockbacks that should have probably occurred. Now, Davin, he's got that boon of something Tor, right, on his rapier, so he's doing massive damage. So he's knocking legs left and right, taking arms here and there, and nobody else is really doing much damage. On occasion, they'll get through and do something, but as I'm thinking about it, the whole halving and quartering damage, I'm still not sure about how I'm going to deal with that. But I'm thinking, because I based the bone strength on hit points based on double the size. I should probably just base it on size, right? Because the other half of the size is all the flesh they're missing. So I'm going to adjust that for sure. And we'll see how things go from there. As they're coming along, Jarstakos is looking out the window. But as they're marching along, the skeletons just marching along. Two of them spot movement in the building, so they see Jarstakos or something. There's a move forward to attack. So he's attacking through, you know, holes in the wall or a window kind of thing. And eventually he gets 2 spears and a greatsword fighting him. And as they're coming around the building, Davin and Summer are coming out. They engage to block there, so there's 3 fighting Davin, and Summer's fighting another one. But there's still like 3 skeletons they're holding onto the rope that all these creatures are tied up with, and, you know, trying to keep them going, right? So Miriam, 3 of the party, because they did 12-hour shifts, I gave them you got a D6 rounds to rouse yourself kind of thing, right? They're waking them up. Wake up. What's going on now? We're talking about 12 seconds of melee round. So the average would be 3. That's 30 seconds to wake up, look around, orient yourself. Is that too long? 30 seconds? 30 seconds can't be a long time. I'll have to change that. Maybe it should be a D3. 1 or 2. Yeah, because one of them rolled a 4 and was, you know, rightfully getting frustrated. He's sitting there waiting, because 4 melee rounds in Runequest can take a long time. But Miriam was up next round, and the rest of the round after that. So Miriam and her bird, the bird runs around, you know, trying to cast magic on Jarstakos, and then he's got Iron Beak, and so he's going to cast Iron Beak on himself, and then he's, you know, trying to peck on some of the skeletons from behind, kind of thing, right? And isn't doing so well, but tried, right? He's trying. And then when Miriam actually moves out, Bird goes with her, and they end up getting the first skeleton stuff. So you got a skeleton from the middle, so he's got 2 strands of slaves, and he got the guy at the back coming up, Everybody else is involved in combat. Because the first guy got engaged by Summer, and so he's got to do something. Um, but once Miriam engaged number 6, everybody's like, get away, get away, get away. But they're hobbled, they're tied up. So they're scurrying along at 1 hex a melee round, or 1 hex, 8 hexes a melee round, right? And well, they're not going back towards the fighting. They're trying to get away. And so they start headed north, but in a different direction. And everybody's going, why are they going that way? Well, because they're taking away from the fighting, right? But there's still the 2 skeletons connected there that are trying to control things. We'll see how that works out. And they may actually give up at one point and start attacking players. I think we got a total of 4 melee rounds done that night. Maybe 5. Because I think Juchi got a second attack. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, hey, my skeletons probably too tough. So I'm going to decrease their bone structure armor points. And still got to think about the different damage thingies. We'll see how that works out. Happy gaming.